Hi everyone. I really wanted to have a meeting once CC was over for Foundations and Essentials and just meet for like 10 minutes right after class 1 week, but coronavirus. So I didn't get to do that, but I definitely wanted to talk to you before you go out and buy any items for next year for Challenge A. I wanted to let you know what is actually essential, what is either or, and what you really don't need at all from the catalog, because I don't want you spending money that you don't have to spend, but then I definitely want you having the things that you need. So I just wanted to, I know I could have just sent a list, but I wanted you to actually hear me kind of explain why about a few things, because sometimes you might hear from another parent that, oh, I never used that at all, or I never looked at it. But it may have been the case that they needed to look at it and they didn't. And there are some things that definitely work for some people and not others. So I just wanted to quickly go over what you will need for next year. I'm very excited about next year. I'm praying that nothing crazy happens again next year, and that everything can kind of get back to normal and we can start just as planned and on time. And speaking of getting started, because if you're new to Challenge or new to CC, we start before Foundations and Essentials do, and sometime near the end of July, last year they actually got delayed, and some of them, they only came in just the week before class started. But you will receive a guide once you pay your full fall semester tuition, because you can pay for the full year all at once, but it's kind of a hefty amount. So you're allowed to pay fall semester and spring semester separately. But once you pay for your fall semester, and sometime in the summer I'll send out invoices so you'll know what you owe. You will get your guide, and every challenge student gets a guide, and you'll put it in a notebook, so you'll need a notebook, and it has every single week, it has all of your assignments listed. Now, what's interesting about it, from like week 1, we didn't know this the first year we did it until we went to boot camp. Your week 1 assignments are due the very first day you show up in class. So when it says week 1, there's a week of assignments that you do before you show up, and then what you do that day in class on week 1. So you'll get this guide sometime this summer. It's normally late July. Tentatively, because it's hard to plan anything right now, but tentatively we plan on starting August 11th as our first day of CC. And then the week before that, we normally have a campus-wide boot camp for all the challenge directors with their classes. We'll get you a supply list, your daily schedule. We'll try to answer every question you might have about challenge, the challenge level you're entering that day. So that would make that August 4th. And now this is all tentative. But that would make that August 4th, and it's about a 3-hour little boot camp meeting. We talk about Latin a lot to kind of help you get going on the first week of lessons for that. And so it's real important that you try and make that. So if you're going to plan any vacations or anything, try not to plan them for August because August 4th, or at least not August 4th, because August 4th will most likely have boot camp as a campus, and then we will be starting most likely August 11th. So that's the first thing. So like I said, you'll be getting your big guide for your challenge level. Sometime it's normally right at the very end of July, but we'll talk more about that as that gets closer. Now that being said, in your guide, you'll notice it's the entire week of assignments. So it might say in reasoning, there's 6 strands, but in reasoning, you are to do, assignments, whatever, 1 through 5 or something, but it doesn't break them down by day. So another thing that's very, very helpful, which you need to get, is you'll be getting a planner for your student. And so they will, either Tuesday when you get home or Wednesday morning, my daughter liked to plan her own week out. I suggest helping your child the first few weeks, planning their week, but get an actual planner, individual student planner, list all 6 subjects, and help them break down their week evenly. And help them realize that they have a really busy day, that they have piano lessons or soccer practice or basketball or something. You know, they'll probably want to schedule a little less on that day and maybe more on a day where they don't have anything. But this is just a skill that they are starting to learn in Challenge A, and the theme for Challenge A is ownership, but they need a lot of guidance through this year to start to acquire ownership. They're not going to have ownership from the day one. They're going to need some help and time management skills and figuring out how to break their week up and get it all down on paper. And that's something you'll want to help. So you'll get the guide, but you'll also want your own individual planner. So that is that. Now on to actually CC materials. So one of the first things is the reasoning strand, and we now use, this year was the first year, they have a book called Analogies for All of Us that they sell. This is an absolute must. So this is not one of those on the fence things. Every child needs one of these. If you have siblings in the class, they can share, but I found it a little bit difficult last week. And one thing I want you to know about this book, just expect it's consumable, and please let your child write in it. I'm all for trying to keep things clean and not written in, then you can resell them and so forth. But in class, at this book, it has, it will say chapter 1, you know, in community. And then this very first week is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages. 6 pages that we work on while we are in class, in community. If they are trying to copy all that down on paper, they're not going to be able to keep up. And it's going to be frustrating for them. They're not going to be able to learn it. And then it has their entire week at home. And the nice thing about this, it's already broken down. It says day 1, do this page. Day 2, do the next page. So that's really helpful because they break the whole week down for you. So Analogies for All of Us, absolute must. I'd say for every student, even if you have more than one child in class, I would get one for each of them. And this is one that let them consume it. It's going to cost you a fortune for this whole big book. If you were trying to just print it all off, it's going to cost you so much in ink. It's worth just letting them use that. So Analogies for All of Us, must have that. Okay, moving on to Latin. Latin, now these you can buy used. I got mine used. You will need the Latin Henley text, which is, and all these are in the catalog. If anybody needs a catalog, let me know. I'll try to get one to you. These, and you can buy these used. It seems like you can find these a lot. You will use this for years at CC. I don't know, they may use them all the way through. I'm not even sure. But they use them for years. So if you do have to buy it new, you know, at least you can rest in the fact that you know you're going to get years out of it. So the purple Henley text, absolute must. This is all your assignments. And the blue grammar book. And it's another must. This has all the rules in it. And, you know, some different declension endings, conjugation endings, everything. So must. The thing you do not want to buy is the white book. In fact, I think I did buy it. I was going to show it to you. Oh, yeah. The little white answer key from Henley. You don't want to buy this one because often it won't give the answer. It will just say, see rule number 37. And they want you to look up the rule and try to figure out the answer on your own. Not good. That's very annoying. So don't buy this. Buy the purple one and the blue one, not the white one. And I will send out an email that names all this stuff, but I didn't want to do it yet because I was afraid you wouldn't watch the video, and I wanted you to see my reasoning behind some of the things. So, but I will send out. But instead you're going to buy something called the Seton, S-E-T-O-N, Seton answer key for Henley, because it actually gives you the answers, and it's just better, and it's $5, and it's just a bunch of paper, comes in the mail, a bunch of paper stapled together, but you can just Google it and order that. So that's the answer key you're going to want. So for Latin textbooks, purple, blue, and then you'll order the answer key online through someone else, or buy it used from someone. It's $5 new though, so that's not bad. The other thing for Latin, even though I think Latin Workspace is great, it is not going to work for our class. In our class, we use a modified schedule. It doesn't go exactly in line with the guide, and this Latin Workspace goes with the CC guide. The reason is they used to have, the schedule we're going to use is the schedule they used to use in CC. But for some reason, a couple of years ago, they sped it way up at the beginning. And so you're doing, say, 20 exercises instead of 5 in the first few weeks. And I found 2 years ago that with my daughter's class, all but I think 2 students dropped Latin pretty soon off the bat because it's sequential. If you get behind, you can't just catch up that easily. And it just went so fast. I don't know why they changed the schedule from what they used to have. Even though it's a modified schedule, we complete all the same exercises that the guide completes. We just catch up at the end because the guide has this really fast pace at the beginning. Then it slows way down. But I found by then, everybody's so lost that it didn't matter that it slowed down because they were so far behind. They weren't even doing it anymore. This year, I'm happy to say, my class this year, I didn't lose a single student. All 12 were still doing Latin by the end, which was awesome. And I think it was the previous CC schedule. So do not buy this because it won't go with your schedule. So don't buy the Workspace. Even though I think it's a great product, it won't work for us. But there is going to be the option. There's another challenge director from I don't even know where. You can email her. I will give you an email address, and you can email her, and for $5 she will send you the PDF of this Workspace that is with our schedule. It's a modified schedule. She used to direct when it was the slower schedule. She also hated it when it sped up because she lost all her students as well. So she went back to the old one, and she created this whole big workbook, and it has assignments that are from the purple book here by week. Here's what you do in the blue book. Here's what you do in this workbook. And it has pages, and it's every single week. I think it's wonderful. What you do, she sends you the PDF for $5. I think you pay through her PayPal account. And then if you use your discount at Office Depot, if you don't know, you get an Office Depot discount from CC. And I'll have to remember how you get that if you don't have it. But I went and got it printed, bound, in color, everything. And I think it cost about $19. I think that was the total. I think with the $5 and then when I went and had it bound. But anyway, this is optional. You don't have to have this. You can just go, I will give everyone the schedule we're going to use and the new form. And you can do it all on notebook paper if you want. This one, it's kind of nice. It has the charts and it has it all written for you, what pages and what book to do. I think it's worth, $19 to get it, but that is totally optional. So recap, no Latin Workspace, no white answer key, Seton answer key, purple and blue, and the optional workbook that will go with our modified schedule. So that is Latin. Moving on to, the second semester, I should have probably already done this. The second semester, that analogies book is only for first semester. Second semester, we jump into the fallacy detective. This you can buy used. The only thing I would say, there's a quite old edition that's all white. The cover's all white. Don't get that one because it doesn't have the same chapters and the same fallacies. And it's very different. Mine that I have is actually an older edition. It has the yellow on top and green on bottom, but it was totally fine. It was no problem at all. The latest editions are green on top, yellow on bottom, and it's called the Workbook Edition. So that's the latest one, so that's great if you get that one. But if you do find this one used with the yellow, as long as it's yellow and green, you're good to go. So you can buy this used from someone and it's no problem. So that's the second semester. We do analogies first semester and reasoning, fallacy, detective second semester. So that's that. As far as exposition goes, you will need every book that is listed in the chapter. The one change we have done the last 2 years at our campus, a previous director did it, and then I did the same. We replace A Gathering of Days with The Whipping Boy. A lot of directors and students found A Gathering of Days very, what they said, slow and boring. It's kind of sweet. It's a journal of a, little girl. But The Whipping Boy is a little more exciting, has a little more action, and I know my class really preferred that. If you really wanted to read A Gathering of Days, you could continue doing that. Just our discussions in class will really be on The Whipping Boy. So otherwise, all the other books are exactly the same. Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, Carry On, Mr. Bowditch, The Magician's Nephew. Anyway, they're all listed in the catalog. So everything is what's in the catalog except A Gathering of Days you don't need, and instead you need The Whipping Boy. So, with exposition, we use, it's new, it's not like IEW, we use something called the Lost Tools of Writing. This is an absolute must, again, that you have to have. And you have to have all those books we read. I wouldn't try getting them from the library. I mean, you can, but I don't know. It's good to have a copy of them. One thing about the books, if you're going to read this summer, which I suggest that that's a really good idea, and if you have a catalog, the way they are listed in the catalog is the order we read them in. So the first book listed is Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. That's the first book we read together. While you're reading them, I ask that you either highlight in the book in blue anything that stands out to you, quotes you really like, or something that really spoke to you. And if you don't want your kids highlighting the books, you can just get little blue Post-it notes and put it in that book. I would also I would keep a little notebook of characters and their names and things, because I do highly suggest starting the books this summer, because it's a lot to try to get all the books read while you're doing all the other work. So if you start reading early, it's very helpful. But you'll find, at least for me and a lot of my students this year, you kind of forget now, who was the sister, what was her name, and it's hard to remember. So take some little notes, but also make blue Post-its, because a lot of times in class, if we're going to have discussion, I will ask them, like, oh, what were some of your blue highlights for this book? And it's just things that were meaningful for them. So if they're reading this summer, either have them mark those pages with blue Post-its or with blue highlights, and that will be very helpful. So now back to Lost Tools of Writing. You will use this also for at least 3 years. Maybe even 4? I'm not sure, but you use this for a lot of challenge years. Now, I know with IEW, the teacher guide and the student guide is almost the same thing, because the student guide has the teacher guide information in the margins. This is not like that at all. This is where I think most people might tell you, oh, we never use the teacher's guide. But they really, you need it if you're going to be able to help, because this is going to be probably brand new to your student and probably brand new to you if you've never had a challenge student. And I have to show you, the student workbook is this big. The teacher's guide is this big. The student workbook, many times on a lesson, it literally might have 1 page and they have to fill it in, and that's it. There's no explanation, there's no detail, there's nothing. Whereas the teacher guide will walk through the entire lesson, that entire worksheet, how to do it, and it also gives you a code, a resource, a password to online videos, little short. They're not like the IEW hour-long videos. These are like 10-minute videos per lesson. So every single lesson will have a video. It is necessary, and this is pricey. And I know this is expensive. You can buy it used. Make sure the covers look like this. It's trees and like a little suitcase on the front. There's an older edition that has like a red cover, and it's completely different. So don't get that one. But you can buy these used. But if you do have to spend the money and buy them new, just know you'll use them for years. That being said, don't write. Remember, I said write in the analogy book. Don't write in this student workbook. Just know that up front. For one thing, we don't get through all the essays. we go essay 1 through 4. We do 4 twice. We do 5 twice, 2 or 3 times, and we do essay 6 3 times. So if you fill in all the worksheets the first time we do essay 6, then you're stuck on the next 2 times. So you will run off the worksheet pages. So this you will be running off, but you get to keep it for years. So just keep that in mind when you're putting that expensive item in your cart or buying it from someone, buying it used or anything. Just know it's worth it. It's a great program. I think you're going to like it, but you do need the teacher's guide, or you're really going to struggle helping your student at all with that. Okay, I'm looking at my guide. Oh, the other thing they have listed for exposition is this words aptly spoken. You don't need this at all. We talk about the books. We actually don't get as much opportunity to actually talk about the books as I would like. But when we do, I use this. I get my questions from here, but you don't need it. So if you want to save money, you don't need this. No words aptly spoken. Okay, research, the science thing. Here's another one. This is the thing you need least of all in the whole catalog. This lyrical life science, there's not one bit of reading ever assigned from this. There's nothing that comes from this that we do in class. I might get in there and get a few extra little facts. If you want, at the very end of the year, we do anatomy. That's what this is with. If you like anatomy a lot and you want extra resources, I would actually, there's other things I would recommend. So you don't buy this. You don't need to spend money on that. Now the truly probably most optional thing, that really could go either way, is the cartography book for debate. Our big thing we do in Challenge A is draw a map of the world by the end of the year. There is a cartography book. It's beautiful. It has beautiful pictures. There are some readings that are assigned in your guide, but it isn't actually really necessary because we break the world down by continents and different things, and we spend a few weeks on, I think on Africa we spend like 5 weeks or something like that. And so each time we go to a new map, I am going to be giving them a map to look at, all divided up with the different features and everything on it. So I will be giving them a map. These maps are all they need to learn how to draw the world. So you really don't need this book. It's beautiful, and if you really like it and you want to buy it, it's great. It does have some neat little articles about the different countries, so you learn some history. So I kind of say this is a real 50-50. If money's not a problem at all, go ahead and buy it. It's beautiful. But if you're trying to find ways to save, this could be something that you could give up. Okay. I'm looking at my catalog to make sure that there's nothing else. Okay. Oh, some of the other books, and I bought all of them actually just to see. But there's these like Draw Mexico books or Draw Europe, and I thought, oh, I bet those are so handy. I have found that honestly, just the maps I give them each time are more beneficial. If you have a student that's super passionate about drawing and wants it just perfect, you might buy one of these. Canada is the first thing we draw, so you might do Draw Canada. See if they like it. I haven't. My former Challenge A student, she didn't use them at all, ever. I have the whole set. She never used one. But, and I had some students get them, and I didn't really find that they were actually that helpful. Just save money. Let me give you this map, and you'll be good to go. Okay, some other things they have listed in the catalog. They have a lot of different trivium tables. You don't need a single trivium table. We never used any of them. If you did essentials, which most of you did, then that chart A with all the charts, that will be helpful, just kind of refreshing the parts of speech and how different words are used in sentences. But as far as class goes, you don't need any trivium tables at all. And I'm thinking, and then there's a nature sketch journal listed with science. Now, they will use a nature sketch journal. You are welcome to buy theirs, or what my daughter used and most of my students used was just a spiral notebook. and a spiral notebook's perfect. That's all you need. So you can get a spiral notebook for like $1. The Nature Sketch Journal's $13. If you really want the Nature Sketch Journal, by all means, get it, but you don't need it at all. Math is totally up to you. Whatever math curriculum you want to use is fine. You don't have to buy this. The Latin dictionary, never opened it once. So we didn't use any of the science cards. If you have science cards from Foundations and Essentials, great. That's great that you can refer to those. We start the first 9 weeks with doing little reports, but you don't need that. There's something called Wakeful Words. Don't need that. Yeah. So, overview, Lost Tools of Writing, both Teacher's Edition and the Student Edition. Very important. All the books that we'll be reading for exposition. Analogies for All. Be planning to use that as a consumable. Fallacy Detective. I try to find that used. The Latin Purple and Blue book. I try to find those used. And then if you want, I'll send the email for the link to where the lady can send you the workbook if you want to print that off for yourself. And if you want to wait until boot camp in early August, I will have this stuff for you to look at. You can look at the workbook then, so don't feel like you have to make that decision now. And cartography is a maybe. So whatever you think about that one. Anyway, I hope this helps. And if you do start looking for some stuff used, now you'll kind of know what you need and what you're going to want to get. But I can't wait till next year. It's going to be a great year. I absolutely love directing Challenge A this year. And I'm just looking forward to doing it again next year. So I hope you all are surviving quarantine well. And hopefully we'll be opening up before we know it. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out and ask. Okay, thanks so much. Bye.